Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mavs Moneyball After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson, editor-in-chief of MavsMoneyball.com. I'm joined, as usual, with Josh Bowe, my fellow editor. He just wrote the wonderful recap for a really rather entertaining Rockets-Mavs game where Luka Doncic scored 50 points in a 112-106 victory. How you doing, Josh?
Doing pretty good. I'm glad we can get together again. I know the internet outage really sucked for you, so I'm glad you're back, especially these last couple games. I mean, so they're 2-0 since your internet's back, right?
Nice. It's pretty important. Feels good. Well, and most importantly, we kind of touched on this at the tail end of the last podcast, but this was the start of a stretch that the Dallas Mavericks really need to actually win a ton of games on. Yeah. There's a lot of chatter about how this team is better than their record shows. It's in the net rating. It's in, elements of a lot of the advanced statistics and, frankly, the eye test. But the results are the results. And prior to tonight's game, the Mavericks have played 32 games and were just 500. So if they were to shake the discourse a little bit and become a real, become a real team to a degree, they need to start winning these. And while it was closer than it should have been, and, the pessimist in me is like, great, we needed 50 to beat the Rockets. I am pleased with the victory. I am pleased with the fact that, the game was largely close, to be quite honest, because Luka was fucking around in the third quarter and seeing if his teammates could do anything. The answer, just so everyone's clear, is no. The other Mavericks were shit tonight. I'm really glad they won, because I was like cackling in a group chat with some non-Mavericks fans. So it's like, could you imagine the discourse if Luka puts up a 50-point triple-double and they fucking lose? Like,
yeah, we were nearing internet meltdown level of catastrophic loss if you've lost to the Rockets twice before Christmas,
right? Because the Rockets,
the Rockets are.
Explain this, because our guy Brian Zillum and Mavs Moneyball, we kind of had to explain to him that the Rockets are like catastrophically bad.
Yeah, they're 27th in net rating after this game. I mean, they have no offense, they have no defense. I mean, they're tearing it down. I mean, they're playing a bunch of young players. It's not that they're not talented. They have no direction. Like, I mean, they just don't seem like it's a case of young players earlier in their career, which means you're probably going to be a bad team, because young players are, if you have an entire team of just young guys, you're just not going to be consistent. And then they also kind of seem poorly coached, because they kind of run around like they're like chickens with their heads cut off a lot of the times. And sometimes they kind of find themselves into made baskets because I think some of these guys are just individually talented enough. But like I don't see the direction or the flow or like where's the next step. Like I mean, I see where the next step is if they can stack, if they get a top 5, they're going to probably get a top 5 pick in this draft, and they're going to probably draft another, a game changing talent. And then that makes a lot of their other pieces fit in a lot more. But right now they are stinky. They are a stinky team. And I think even Rockets fans won't really argue against that. Like they're just,
no,
they're
though
rebuilding.
it was kind of interesting. I know this is a Mavs podcast, but like Jalen Green is a player that to me is like Lou Williams-ish. Incredible scorer. And we got to see a dose of that in the third quarter with him getting to the line and hitting some really crazy shots over, I don't know, okay Dallas defense. But it was just interesting to see. I mean, this is just such a funny box score. I don't know what to do with it. Like
incredible.
The outlier stat, my favorite one, I'm in a group chat with Dalton Trigg, and he's just like, Davis Bertans was a plus 23 in 17 minutes. Like, that's hilarious.
And and I know the individual box score plus minus is like not, we always say like
single game is garbage. Yeah.
This one, I felt it. Like when he was on the floor, it felt like that's the only time the team made any sort of run.
Well, I mean, Luka scored 50 points and is a 0. Like, what the shit? And then you look at the rest of it, and it goes back to exactly what we talked about after the last game, where it's like Reggie Bullock 3, Tim Hardaway 7,
yes.
Christian Wood 8. Like Wood had an interesting game. I don't know what to make of his game. Granted, 4 blocks. He seems to be sort of attempting to take the defensive challenge personally to a degree, like he's trying. But then there's just instances where it's like he got sealed under the basket a number of times by Sengun. And that's what we mean. That's what everybody means when he's not a rim protector. Like
he's a trick or treat defensive player.
Like one of our former colleagues tweeted something to the effect that shake the narrative. And it's like, no, it's not a narrative. He's bad at defense. But he is trying matters, and hopefully Kid can at least appreciate that.
He has 2 blocks. He's had 2 blocks in every game dating back to the December 16th game against Portland, and then 4 blocks tonight. What's kind of interesting is he played, since Maxey went down and Josh Green went down, and it was kind of like, okay, who's going to step up on defense? I have noted, that even if he's still missing plays and because he's just, inconsistent defensive player, the effort does look better. And funny enough, his offense has kind of gone down the drain in these last 3 games, where I feel like in these last 3 games, he's made more of a defensive impact than he had at any point in the season. So that's going to be something to watch. Like, is his ability to be great on offense tied to his defensive effort? I don't know. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. But he has had 3 poo-poo scoring games and shooting and efficiency games. But those are also 3 of his better defensive games. So I'm going to be curious watching that for the rest of the season, since Maxey, is likely out for the season.
Yeah, and really sort of beyond that.
You want to talk about Luka scoring 50?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to talk about, because it's like, oh, well, no, there's one thing we have to talk about before we get to Luka. God grant me the confidence of Frank Ntilikina shooting.
Oh my God, that was incredible.
This man had 4 of the worst turnovers you will see in a basketball game, and yet still rises and fires like he's prime Kobe Bryant. I just have never seen anything like this from a player who is this terrible at basketball. And make no mistake, he is bad. I'm sure he'll have another great game and people will tell me that he's good. Nope. Not interested.
But all right, I don't want to make too much of a defense because I'm not a Frank guy either. But in the defense of Frank, isn't one of the problems with this Mavericks team is that so many of these guys don't want to shoot?
Yes.
And I think there is something to at least him just getting up looks like he did.
That's a good point. I'll sell on that point. It's the catch and shoot opportunities that he gets are actually quite good.
Yeah.
Because they are. It's the lack of hesitation. Like he hit one from the right wing where he's just
he
Peja
like Klay Thompson in transition. Yeah.
What the shit? It's great. Love it. Well, okay. So here's the funny thing. I'm going to need you to walk me through this because I just due to the nature of the game, my wife and I trading duties, getting ready for Christmas and stuff. I did not see the first half. The first time I became aware, and I watched the second half closely, but I wasn't box score watching. I was eating dinner, kind of watching the game, laughing at our Slack. I became aware that Luka had 40 points in the fourth quarter. Like, didn't know it happened. So, like, what the fuck happened in this game?
He had 17 in the fourth. He had 17 of their 31. So, I mean, he was on pace for like a really good Luka game, and then the fourth quarter he just went Nova, and that's
which is crazy because the fourth quarter he's kind of had the horse meme, like the of his scoring. Like he's unbelievable in the first quarter and then slowly loses efficiency.
Yeah, because he plays 40 minutes a night and he has to take every single shot, and he wears himself out a little bit. So yeah, I mean the first half they looked quite good and Luka looked pretty good. Guys were making shots. Dinwiddie made 2 threes. Bullock made a 3. Wood made a 3. Like, I mean, they were 8 of 20 from 3 in the first half, which that's 40% on 20 attempts. So, like, you take that every single night. Like, they were looking pretty good. It was all Luka. I mean, he had 6 assists in the first half and 18 points. Like, but the other guys weren't scoring, but they were making at least the shots that Luka gave them. And then the third quarter, I don't know what happened in the third quarter.
I don't think Luka was out there. I could go review,
but he wasn't there.
He played all
12 minutes, but it didn't look.
I'm just gonna scroll through.
I've got it. He took 7 shots in the third quarter.
Did he really?
Yeah, I know. It didn't feel like that. Those must have come toward the end because he opened halftime very passive, looking to pass, and a lot of missed threes. Luka and Frank were the only players that made shots in the third quarter, which is pretty funny. Dinwiddie, Wood, Bullock got hurt, but he played 8 minutes. So Tim, Bullock, Wood, Dinwiddie went a combined 0 for 9 in the third quarter from the floor. So yeah, that looked super weird. And Luka was kind of oddly passive. Then he picked it up toward the end of the quarter, so it didn't get out of hand. But yeah, they got outscored by 14 in the third quarter. Which took, like, they were rolling. They were up 16 in the first half. So that third quarter was, here we go again. I'm scared. Rightfully so, with the way they dropped games to these teams. To maybe try an explanation, I don't know if you heard the broadcast talk about the match. I mean, this isn't really like an excuse. If they would have lost, like, I don't think I would have mentioned this. But
today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
The broadcast talked about their weird travel after.
I did not hear this.
Okay, so Minnesota was like snowstorm during their game, so they had trouble getting out of Minnesota. Then they flew to Dallas, and if you're a DFW resident, Dallas just got hit by a freaking ice nova. Thankfully, there's been no precipitation, but it's been like 15 degrees.
Good enough to cause problems.
Yeah. Right. So they came to Dallas, and apparently they had trouble getting out of Dallas to go to Houston because of the extreme cold weather. So I think Mark Follow said something like they didn't get into their hotels in Houston until like 3:45 early Friday morning. So that's so bizarre for a game where you have a night off. Just the weather gave it was almost like a back-to-back travel day. So that could explain maybe the third quarter they just were like running out of juice.
Well, the team has every excuse to be running out of juice. I mean, I'm writing the preview for the Lakers game, and if Reggie Bullock is unable to play, I think it's safe to assume Josh Green is out again. I've
not safe. I think they said their plan was for him to come back I think I heard kids say in a presser he's going to miss the road trip, but we're going to try to get him back.
But he had said before the road trip, we're going to try to get him back on the road trip.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm just at the moment color me
Right.
a little bit skeptical because
Fair.
they have Maxey, who's definitely out, Dorian, who is unfortunately, I think, definitely out. Like like that abductor stuff is funky.
You don't
And
fuck with those.
yeah, and he had talked about how he was injured before the game, and it's like, and he wasn't on the injury report at all. So, there's not long-term cause for concern, but I mean, if Dorian's looked tired and bad, like they just have a lot of guys who are injured. Kimba's already dealing with knee stuff, as they've used him too much, in my opinion, based off of what he can do.
Reggie got hurt this game.
Reggie got hurt this game. So it's like they have every excuse to be tired. And then
Right.
it's we're on the one hand, I'm railing. I'm like, how the hell is Theo Pinson getting minutes? But I know why Theo Pinson is getting minutes.
Right.
They have to suck up minutes somehow. I mean, McKinley Wright played tonight. We would have had Jaden Hardy minutes, but he has a back contusion. Dorsey didn't play, which I thought was a little bit interesting. I would have rather seen him, frankly. I mean, kid played he played 11 guys tonight, but there was heavy minutes for some of these guys again. I mean, Luka and Spencer once again carrying the toll, and it's if they're running out of gas, like it's two sides of a coin. I really think they should close out the year winning every single game based off the quality of the opponents that they're playing. But they are also running out of gas. Like that is a valid thing. And it's very, I'm going to have, like, me personally, I'm going to have a difficult time with this because intellectually I understand, emotionally I don't give a shit.
Well, I think that's because that's why we kept saying when they kept dropping those games. I think we said this in the last podcast. Like, this is why the fact that they were a 500 team in December fully healthy was a problem, because we know NBA teams don't go through a season fully healthy. And if you do, I hope you got, like, you knock on wood or whatever. So like, we knew a stretch like this was coming, like, and Luka hasn't gotten hurt. And he's honestly he's almost consistently the last 3 seasons missed a stretch of like 5 to 10 games because of an ankle sprain or something. So like their injury luck up until now has been, up until like the last 2 weeks, has been great. So that's why we're like, guys, if you're a 500 team fully healthy, what's it going to look like when guys start getting hurt? And lo and behold, guys start getting hurt. And then so thankfully they're still a game above 500. And thankfully that these injuries have cropped up when they play maybe the softest part of their schedule this season. Like, what, three games in 2 weeks against the Rockets and a game against the Spurs and the Lakers also. Like, that's pretty cushy for them to get through this. And maybe if they can survive this, Green comes back, Reggie comes back. We don't even know if Reggie's going to miss time, but just, if he's hurt, and then Dorian, if those 3 guys can come back when they get through the end of this stretch against all these easy teams that they're going to be playing, they might end up okay. So they're getting kind of lucky here. But again, that's why, we understand why they look weird now and why they play weird stretches now, but it just reinforces what we were saying earlier in the season when they should have been playing better basketball.
Yep. And it still feels like the season is very much on the edge of a knife. There's a really good Hoop Collective podcast. That's Brian Windhorst. And today it had Tim McMahon and Tim Bontemps, and they did a fair amount of Mavericks talk. And McMahon seems to think that there's like an urgency to improve the team, which just makes me nervous as hell. I hate it. I hate that because we've talked about this, not because I think they don't need to improve. It's just,
we've been saying go ahead.
It's the tier. Like, I've been thinking about this because I work for somebody that has like a similar mindset to Cuban, where it's the tyranny of the urgent. And sometimes you do things with the short-term necessity, spiting your long-term goals. And it worries me. That said, some of this is just about getting things right and having guys figure some things out. The Mavericks we talked about this, but it doesn't really get acknowledged enough. But like, the Mavericks had amazing injury luck from like January 15th last season on until Luka hurt himself at the very last game. They just had outstanding injury luck. And this year, that thing swings back. It is what it is. I do want to note something kind of ridiculous here, because I've been thinking about this for 3 games and I haven't brought it up, mainly because I keep forgetting. But grizzled, bearded, exhausted Luka is a vibe that I love.
Old man Logan Luka.
Yes, Logan. Oh my God, what a great comp. For those of you who don't know, he means Wolverine in the excellent movie and like old like comic book Old Man Logan. Like that's a great comp. And Luka's never going to be the most stylish guy. That's why sometimes whenever at least on the court, because it's like unless he's going to grow his hair out and do like 9 different versions of Dirk's haircut, he's just Luka's kind of looked the same since he was like 15. And there's just something about this that I really like. I think because I work from home and let my beard get too long at least twice a month.
Oh yeah, me too.
It appeals to me because how frustrating is it gotta be for a guy that looks like that? Because there's just moments where he has that Tony Romo body where like games where he physically looks bad. Like he's just bloated
walking
or whatever.
slowly up the court or something.
Yeah, and then it's just like this guy's giving you 50. What the fuck?
And it looks easy.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. I've been thinking about it.
No, that's great. Would you bet on Luka shaving before national TV Christmas Day?
Oh God, I bet he does. And you said something earlier about how this is kind of like a back-to-back. They go home and play in like 36 hours. No, is it 36? Though they play at 1:30 on Sunday and it's 10:30 on Friday. So really,
it's an hour flight, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I bet they go home tonight, probably don't practice at all tomorrow, and show up and like daytime Luka, a little concerning, but national TV Luka against LeBron James, who he loves to play against. I am super psyched.
Oh, and you didn't even mention the dirt, like the.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. The
damage
reveal.
boost they're getting with the statue reveal.
Damage boost, fuck.
Because remember, I mean, I think you said this in our Slack. They absolutely whipped the shit out of the Warriors on the night Dirk had his number retired. So
which was like we were all worried about that going in because the Warriors were obviously outstanding and they just pistol whipped them. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I like being bullish. I think the overarching discourse does not change until the Mavericks change it consistently. There's a lot of weird stuff kind of swirling around the team, but it comes back, winning games you're supposed to win feels good. I wish they would have won this one a little more convincingly, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. Before we go, I put in the recap, but I have to say on the podcast, this, in Tim Hardaway Jr.'s previous 18 games before tonight, Mavericks were 0-9 in the games Hardaway shot under 40% from 3, and Timmy was a blistering 0-for-7 from 3 tonight, and the Mavericks won by 6. So maybe the curse is broken.
That's a good poll.
So either the Rockets are horrible, or the Mavericks have maybe found some good juju or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's just you can overcome the fates when Luka scores 50. Maybe that's the other outcome. I don't know.
Love it. Well, so you and I haven't even talked about this. Are we going to talk on Christmas?
Yes.
I mean, I'm around. I'm around doing all this stuff because this will be my child is excited to watch a game. So
oh yeah, that's awesome.
Daytime stuff. He's probably going to ask me something like, "Why didn't we go?" And I'm going to be like, "Because Daddy don't make enough money for Christmas Day tickets. Sorry."
Yeah, it's a different tier.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, we'll figure that out. We will have shows on Christmas. I just don't really know who's doing what because I don't want to, we don't get paid enough to work on Christmas, to be quite honest. But I think we're all looking forward to the game, which will be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so before we get out of here, I do want to plug a show that I posted earlier today on Friday. I recorded with my Laker fan friend, Daman Rangoola. He is incredibly knowledgeable. He is a fan like us. He probably could be writing for fun on the side, but he has like an incredible real job in the tech industry, and does not have the time to do this shit.
To sync to our level.
Yeah, well, we had a really nice it was about a 30-minute conversation kind of about how the Lakers got here, which I think is a little bit interesting. I just needled them a little bit with some questions, and we talked, Mavs Lakers for about 10 minutes. It's fun. So, don't miss that show if you're interested on hearing a slightly to moderately humbled Lakers fan, which is always delightful. We'll have some good stuff up on Christmas Day, I'm sure. I gotta go read a couple people have turned stuff in, and I'm just like, I can't read it right now. Thanks for hanging out with us, and everybody have a good Christmas Eve, all that stuff. If you celebrate, happy Hanukkah, because we're in the middle of Hanukkah right now. And we will talk to you guys soon. This has been Kirk and Josh. Have a great day, guys.